Bear down, Chicago Bears. We've got an update here for starting off Steve Mongo McMichaels. And yes, we are going to talk all about what happened yesterday with Justin Fields, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Equinemius St. Brown, and how dare Justin Fields do the ultimate. Guys, LeBron, LeBron. You were in the wrong city for that, partner. Uh, Everybody knows, even Amon-Ra St. Brown knew the answer is and will always be Michael Jordan. I can't believe Justin Fields would come up with the LeBron take. And, in fairness to him, like he's never seen Jordan play. He's always, you got to watch it in repeats, if you will, something like that. And he probably doesn't like a game where you have to play defense. This is an offensive minded league now. So, ugh. But anyway, let's break it down before this channel, this website, the New York Post, whatever this is just falling apart at the seams. So let's cover this very quickly. Steve Mongo McMichael is said to be discharged from the hospital after his latest health scare. So wishing Steve Mongo McMichael a speedy recovery. And we hope that you're okay. Horseman up, man. So that is done, and feeling really bad. I hope that I hope some of these guys are with us forever. Um, but I think now is the time that we're going to just jump in and we're going to look at Justin Fields and what's going on over here. And we got 2 pages where we're going to really kind of look at that. And the question of the day was obviously, why did Justin unfollow the Bears? And basically, in the wildest response you could ever see, um, he basically said, "I'm trying to look at him hose," as opposed to the NFL or the Chicago Bears, which is wild to me that he said that. He's like I'd much rather be staring at these thirst traps than I would the Chicago Bears and the NFL. And I just want this whole thing to be past me. So he says people need to stop taking social media so seriously. I still mess with Bears. I removed the Bears in the NFL from my timeline. I need a minute from football. I'm tired of hearing the talk about the Fields versus Williams talk, which is fair enough. But then they started getting into the thing about, plus all of these unloyal hoes who are out here on Instagram. I'm trying to follow all of them or, whatever. I don't know the makeup there, but it was pretty funny to see that this is what the situation represented. And shout out to the St. Browns because Amon Ra definitely is asking the hard questions. And it is a far-reaching, by the way, interview. I would suggest that you go check it out. And then there was the next question here, which was, do you want to stay in Chicago? That's a big question. Do you want to stay with the Bears? And Justin Fields said this, of course I want to stay. I don't see myself playing in any other place. If it was up to me, I would stay in Chicago. City is great. City is lit. Fans are great. But then he says, but it's not my decision. This is a business and they've got to make a decision. And it's tough for him, by the way, in this situation. So you can see right here, I mean, you catch this just as a screenshot. He's kind of reflecting on the situation, how, like this has become his home. This has become his, realm, if you will. And and I think it's debilitating for him. I think he's, really starting to feel the pressure here and just really wants to unplug, if you will, and move away from the debate for a little while, staying down in Florida for right now, training, getting, improving, working on his game. And, look, that's what you want to see from your quarterback, right? However, there are some other things that we're starting to see, and there is a shift. Now, the shift I do want to stress, I don't know that there are any insiders who are actually tipping hats on Justin Fields. I don't know that there is or is not. I know that there are a lot of people who want certain things. There are a lot of people who would look at a narrative and say that narrative kind of fits what I want it to fit or what I feel like is the important thing. I feel like there's a little bit to that, but I don't know that anybody has any idea of what the Bears are going to do. But I am starting to see signs that there is a shift towards Caleb Williams. There is a real shift towards Caleb Williams, not just in narratives, but in coverages. Um, in fact, one of the person who's been the most vocal proponent of Justin Fields was Chase Daniels. Chase Daniels did a breakdown on on Caleb Williams and was very gushing about what he saw from Caleb Williams. And he had broken down Caleb Williams, and we're not revisiting any, or we're not visiting anything that we hadn't already known from Chase Daniel. He was looking at it objectively from that perspective, and he was actually looking at the worst game that Caleb Williams had, and that was the 3 interception game with Notre Dame. And you take that out of the equation, and he has like I think he had 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions in that game. If you take those stats out, he still had 29, and he still had 29 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions for the rest of the season. Therefore, Chase wanted to break down what he was seeing, and what he was seeing was a very good player that just made a few bad plays at wrong moments. And his assessment and analysis was basically that Caleb Williams is the real deal in his eyes. He's starting to see what others are seeing in Caleb Williams based on his footwork, based on his release, based on his ability to throw from multiple and different angles. And then, of course, what we don't do in that is we don't attack people when they when they don't do something the right way, or make a bad play. He's here to kind of shine up Caleb Williams, if you will. But we can see a testament, by the way, because if you go to X and you start looking at Justin Fields stuff, you'll start seeing, well, Caleb Williams throw from different angles, and you see Justin Fields banging it off the back of somebody's head, or hitting his own man, or something like that in the back of the head. You see things like that. We see the same thing with Caleb Williams. You just don't have video of it right now. You know what I mean? So it should be noted that the same mistakes are being made. It's the upside. What is the upside that you see? And that's that's been the testament to what's going on. Um, and it should be noted that I think so. They played. I want to say this year they played like 2 or 3 ranked teams. They didn't win against anybody, and like he's not done a very good job against quality competition. I do think he's got like a losing record against ranked teams. I mean, like annihilated against ranked teams. So very, very interesting what they're saying. And by the way, very funny moment. If you haven't watched it already, if you haven't watched it already, when they were talking about on why I unfollowed the Bears, when he's talking about why he unfollowed the Bears, he said, bro, I follow you, and then it turns out Amon Ra goes over here and finds out he doesn't follow him either. So, it was a funny moment. You see them here kind of laughing about it because he says Amon Ra, because he's like, well, you're following like Drake London, you're following all these different players, and he's like, yeah, those are people though. He's like, I follow you, and then Amon Ra looks it up. He's like, you don't follow me, and then Justin's like, oh my god, well, I'll do that after the show. You know what I mean? Like he's not even following people that he knows. So this wasn't a big deal. However, in a shot that came back, before we get to that, let's actually close this out. He did say that the potential of going back to Atlanta was going to be tough because there's going to be a lot of people trying to hit up his phone. And his response basically is right here. This is the most important thing that you can say about Justin Fields. He says that I just want this to be over. I want to know if I'm being traded or not. That's the end of it. That's what he wants to see. That's the only thing that matters to him. That's the most important thing right now, is to have clarity on his job status. And I think everybody, I think everybody really wants to kind of see that. So you know what I mean? So I hope so, and I hope that we see. And by the way, if you want to watch me, you can watch me. I am live on X as we speak as well. So, but there were some other pieces to it, where Justin wants to build the perfect quarterback. The OSU Mount Rushmore. Spoiler alert: Archie Griffin wasn't on that Mount Rushmore, so that was weird. But I mean, it's a young kid who basically doesn't know shit. And how do I know that he doesn't know shit? Because in the Jordan versus LeBron debate, It goes like this. This is crazy, guys. And if you haven't watched it, I recommend that you go and you check this out because it is outstanding. He says LeBron. Amon Ra says Jordan. And then Equanimous says LeBron. And then Amon Ra asked EQ, why are you picking LeBron? And he's like, well, because, I mean, he was always in the playoffs when we were growing up, and that should be the reason, right? And he says, I don't watch basketball. So the guy who doesn't watch basketball is just following a narrative that says, "Oh, LeBron's better," because he was around to see LeBron play. So that's really what this came down to. And so a lot of fun was had by these guys, and a shout out to LeBron James for being ugh, somebody's pick. Justin Fields, OSU guy, picking LeBron James. Gross. Anyway, so let's move on here. We want to wrap this up as quickly as possible. Joe Klatt today says, if I were to rank as prospects the quarterback since 2012, here is how they would stack up. And he gives Caleb Williams the nod as the number one guy. Then we got Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Drake May, and Bryce Young. Now, let me point out, he says here, note, evaluation of Mahomes was difficult and no quarterback had succeeded from that offense prior, which is actually true. People are like, well, we want the next Mahomes. Well, the next Mahomes, like nobody was thinking Mahomes was Mahomes. That wasn't a thing. It wasn't a verb at that point. Caleb Williams as the number one guy and Drake May as the number four guy. This is nonsense. This is really kind of nonsense here. And we can take it a step further and say, what about Bryce Young? Well, Bryce Young, that's kind of nonsense too, because CJ Stroud was obviously the class act in that draft. Bryce Young flamed out spectacularly so far. So, that doesn't mean you're right. The fact that you're saying Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow, two very quality players, by the way, I do want to add. He's saying that he thinks that Caleb Williams is better than both of them. And look, fair enough. That's an analysis, and you're free to have that analysis. And it could be that you are 100% right. There's a very big chance, but as of this point, Also, the Chicago Bears, rumor going around was that the Chicago Bears had, in response to Justin Fields unfollowing them, had unfollowed Justin Fields. So if you go here, there's 259 people that they are following. And if you type in JUST, then you find out that they are, in fact, both following Justin Fields and the Justin Fields Foundation as well. So if somebody's out there on Twitter or X telling you that that's happening, that is not happening. So now let's move on to some of the other stuff here, because we're going to do the mock draft today and we're going to do it together. I did a mock draft right before we went live here, and then I deleted it because I'm an idiot. So we're going to be doing the mock draft here by ourselves, all of us at the same time. We're going to be I'm going to be doing it, but I'm going to pretend you guys have input. But the multiple insiders just hinted at Chicago Bears free agency priority right now. And spoiler alert, it's going to be center, I would think. But Chicago Bears need to go through free agency. They can focus on the NFL draft. Experts seem to think Poles will focus on one of two areas. Either he will target a pass rusher to play across from Montez Sweat, or he'll seek a credible wide receiver for his quarterback to throw to. Both are possible, but they might not be the focus. During his recent column, Adam Kaplan of the Pro Football Network alluded to what could be. As for Lucas Patrick, he was signed primarily due to his experience with former Bears OC Luke Getsy and could be playing somewhere else this season. Center has been a problematic era for the Bears going back over a decade. Cody Whitehair was a decent player at times, but was always plagued by inconsistency. Lucas Patrick is a serviceable backup. James Daniel was a flop. Nobody's managed to lock down the position. Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune believes Poles may look at the veteran market to finally fix the issues. So, who are we looking for? There's some intriguing options in the draft, but the sweet spot for some of those players is round 2. And right now, the Bears don't own a second round pick. If they can acquire one, it's something to keep in the back of your mind. But if I had to guess, the Bears might prioritize a center in free agency and be willing to put more money into the offensive line. And they have plenty of options going into this year. So, Lloyd Cushenberry might be the best. A former third-round pick developed into a solid starter for the Denver Broncos. And by the way, you're looking at Jackson Powers Johnson, probably now a first round pick at center. You're looking for Zach Frazier, center out of West Virginia. I keep coming across Bo Limmer. Bo Limmer is a late round draft pick that seems to be somebody that keeps popping up on our radar of draft picks, of available centers in the draft. And he's been a pretty consistent player. Problem is, he only has like a 31-inch arm reach, and that's not very good for pass protection. He's a great run blocker, but not great in pass protection. And that probably limits the Bears on being able to reach down in the draft. When you have physical problems like that, then that probably limits the availability. So, but Lloyd Cushenberry is 26 years old and entering his prime. Andre James also carved out a quality role with the Raiders. Connor Williams of the Miami Dolphins, he's coming off of a season-ending injury at ACL. So it's really, what does it look like? And then Aaron Brewer is going to be out there as well. So, and I think Connor Williams becomes the probably the key fit in this whole process, but I'm really just not sure what they're going to want to do. But center, definitely going to be a big one. NFL draft center. When you look at the rankings for the top centers in the NFL draft right now, then you're talking about right here. And by the way, you can reach down into the third round for Cedric Van Pran. I have been able to pick him up a couple of times in this, and Drake Nugent, because he just won a national title. And we've experienced these guys. You guys have seen them in these drafts that we do. But Jackson Powers Johnson, of course, is the premier in the class. Then you have Zach Frazier, Cedric Van Pran, and this is their overall ratings. And you can see here, Jackson Powers is in that first round. Then Zach Frazier is at 82, Cedric Van Pran is at 86, and we do pick them up from time to time in our draft. But again, Drake Nugent, Bo Limmer, then it does drop off. Tanner Bartolini, Bartolini, yeah, we've got him once or twice in our draft. So, but there's a list of guys that are out here and that are available. But I don't think that we have a whole lot of options once you get past Jackson Powers Johnson, Zach Frazier, and Cedric Van Pran. And maybe Drake Nugent. Then I think it kind of drops off. We already know the limitation of Bo Limmer. Buddy's 6'5", 302 pounds. That's not nothing. You know what I mean? So we'll see how this all plays out. But these are the top trade packages that the Bears should consider for the Justin Fields 2024 draft. Now, this is before the draft, and what we're really getting on this is an odd thing in that these guys feel like the Atlanta Falcons are going to be willing to offer their 2024 first round pick at number 8 and a second round pick, 43 overall. That gets us the center, by the way, if we were looking to do that. That would increase at least some of the value here, because you're picking up, we only have 6 draft picks this year. So picking this up, this actually fixes one of the problems that I keep having here. And that is the amount of draft picks that we have. So, but in order to do that, um, they would be trading 2024 first round pick, the 8th pick, and then the second round 43. So basically getting a 4th round pick, and you're picking up Jonnu Smith, and then you would get Fields and the number 9 overall pick. Well, that just seems to me like, basically you're picking up 1 pick. So now you got 7 picks in the draft, 1 in the second round. You can fix your center position, but also at the 8 position, I don't know that you've created yourself more options, but let's just say, for instance, that you have, and you're making this move. Well, you take Caleb Williams at number 1, then at number 8, you've probably at this point lost out on Marvin Harrison Jr. It seems to me Roma Dunze becomes the guy, at this point, if this is what you're looking at. So there is some potential here. This actually, I'm not a fan of this, but it makes sense if you're gonna make a move. The Raiders, in the meantime, and look, there's no chance the Raiders are gonna do this, but they would offer a second round pick, number 44, which again gets you that center that you're looking for if you could get into that range, and then a 4th round pick, 113, and then wide receiver Hunter Renfrow, which actually solves a couple of your problems. Now, Hunter Renfrow, he's not a game-changing receiver, but he is a solid and quality guy. Great hands, made a lot of big plays. This guy played for Clemson, made a huge amount of plays for Clemson, and he can go across the middle. Like, he's one of those guys who's not scared of anything. So great opportunity, great guy to have in a slot. As a matter of fact, like he was. And by the way, I'm a fan of Louisville Cardinals, and um, he was just absolutely a nightmare, Hunter Renfro, for Clemson, for every year of Louisville. Just this guy just made catch after catch after catch, just big play after big play. He was a nightmare. So it seems like a pretty decent guy. I would love to have the guy on the team, even if he's not extremely talented. He has a lot of fire, and seems like a good opportunity. But the New England Patriots also have they would offer the second round overall pick, which would be 34th, that's a key one, and the fourth round, 104th overall pick for Fields. If that's what you can do, that's what you can do. If we get that 34 overall, that's where Zach Frazier comes into play. That's where the possibility of you getting your center, I think, comes into play. Or in this instance, you could probably pick up again if you're using your first and your nine for Darius. If you're going to use your first and your nine for Caleb Williams and a receiver, then the next step at number 34, you could pick up a center, but most likely you'll be looking at somebody like Darius Robinson, the edge rusher. So there's the potential for that. Then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers coming in, offering a second round 51st overall and 120th and cornerback Patrick Peterson. I don't know that the Bears need another cornerback, but another body in there is probably not going to hurt. Getting that 51st overall probably drops you out of Darius Robinson, but puts you in the run for Zach Frazier. So potential. And then the Seattle Seahawks would be offering a third round uh, at 78 and a third round 81 and quarterback Geno Smith. So you would have served a couple of purposes here, but they're also I don't know I don't know what Geno Smith is making, but that seems like an expensive backup. It feels like it to me that would be a pretty expensive backup. With no longtime head coach now gone, Seattle may need they're also facing 1.6 cap deficit and could save 13 in cap space by trading Smith. So they're looking at dumping a $14 million contract. No, no. Tampa Bay, who let go of Baker Mayfield, they have the 57 overall, the 126th overall, and then they would offer a third round in 2025 plus wide receiver Russell Gage and Shaquille Barrett. Now, this is an intriguing trade right here. Solves two problems, gives you a backup and an edge rusher. And that is what you are looking for. So you're looking for Shaquille Barrett. Shaquille Barrett has the potential as a decent player, maybe even to start opposite Montez Sweat. And if not, he's a serviceable backup. So the potential certainly exists there. And with that, we close that out and gross. Anyway, so let's get on to the mock draft simulator and let's just see how this plays out. We're going to go 7 rounds today. We're going to go fast draft. We're going to go Chicago Bears. And the first option that we have right here, let me know in chat what it is. So the options that you have, there's 6 trade offers that you're going to get here for the number 1 pick overall. So you're going to either take the pick, remembering that we only have 6. And every time I do this draft, I want to preface this by saying that I get annoyed by the fact that Caleb Williams is that first pick. Now, it's not about the talent. It's about it's about redefining this team and changing this team into something that I think could be better. And I don't think that Caleb Williams, nothing against Caleb Williams, by the way, but I don't think that Caleb Williams in himself makes this team surmountably better than the addition of a lot of draft picks. Okay. So every time I've done my trades, you've noticed probably that I trade down. I tend to, and I've taken JJ McCarthy in one trade saying, you know what, I don't mind moving on from Justin Fields. I understand that there might be a necessity to do that. And I've also taken Caleb Williams once in one of these drafts. So, but this is what the offers tend to be right now. With Las Vegas, you get the 13, the 44, and the 77, and then you get their first and second round pick the next year. Washington, you get pick number 2, pick number 36, number 40, number 67. I'm fascinated by this. If this were the choice, by the way, this is a fantastic opportunity right here in my opinion. And then over here, you've got, make sure you hit the like button, by the way, on the way in. Appreciate that. It pushed me up in the algorithm, and I would appreciate that. So then we have the number 3 pick, the number 34, the number 68, and the New England offering a first and second in 2025. You're just getting a store of picks right here. And then Minnesota is offering number 11, 42, 109, and then their first and second next year. Denver offering 12, 81, and then in 2025, their first, second, and third round. And finally, you have the Atlanta taking the 8 pick, the 43, the 74, and Atlanta's out. We're not taking that one. But anyway, so my I would reject Las Vegas, Washington, and New England. I'm going to reject Minnesota outright because I also don't like them as that selection. And then we got Denver right here. So now the choices in this instance would be between Washington, which would give you 4 picks this year. You're just swapping one of them, but it would give you 3 additional picks. And then New England would give you 2 picks, and then you would get 2 picks for next year. So if I'm making a trade, if I'm doing anything right here, then I would want to make the trade with Washington, right? That's what I do every single time. And here I make this trade with Washington, and they pick Drake May first, which leaves me in the situation where I still have Caleb Williams on my radar. So in this instance, I have actually accomplished everything that I'm looking to do. Problem with this is I don't feel confident that that would happen, right? I think Drake May becomes that next guy. Um, that you really kind of have to take at that point. But let's just do this and let's go with it. And then I have no draft option. Nobody's offering to trade. And I think that what you're looking at right now is you're looking at some good draft picks. So we're going to take Caleb Williams. Okay, we're just yeah, we're going to you know what? Let me stick with what I know. Marvin Harrison. We're going to take Marvin Harrison right here. So now we've got Marvin Harrison Jr. As our pick. And then I've got 3 trade offers. I've got Cincinnati offering 18, 49, and 80. I've got Detroit offering 29, 61, 73, and 92. Then I've got Houston offering 23, 59, 86. And we're going to reject that one outright. We're going to reject that one outright, and we're going to reject that one because if we have an obligation that we've got to fix the team, right? This is where we've got to make that big bold move, right? We took Marvin Harrison Jr. So now we want there's 2 situations. There's actually 3 situations that we need to address, and then the question becomes whether we can't. Well, it's 4, I guess, when you include safety. But we need an offensive tackle to replace Braxton Jones. Is Olufashanu that guy? And if that's the case, then you can make an argument to take him and shore that up. But now you still need an edge rusher. So and by the way, in this draft, in this instance, we still have Justin Fields. So now we have no edge rushers. So, but for this purpose, we're going to go with Olu Fashanu, and now we've shored up that line. Braxton Jones becomes trade bait, and we have some opportunity out here to do something about that. So what we're going to do is reject this other trade. We got 2 trade offers, 48 and 96 for the 36, and then we got 54 and 135 for that. We're going to reject that. We're going to reject that. We're going to take our pick at 36. And the people that are available in that 32 is Bo Nix. We got Cameron Kinchins. So we have an opportunity right here to shore up our safety position. So let's draft Cameron Kinchins. And now we fixed that. And we're going to keep this selection right here. And we're not going to move down. So now we've got the 40 pick right here. So now you've got Leonard Taylor, which is a defensive tackle. Then you've got Kingsley Suamatua. You've got Lad Conkey, Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin, Michael Penix, Devondre Sweat, Zach Frazier. There it is right there. Zach Frazier, that was our guy. That was the one that we were trying to, if we can't get Jackson Powers Johnson, then we want Zach Frazier, right? So now we got Zach Frazier. And I feel like we're kind of done with our trading. Now it's time to fill in some positions. So they're offering, and we don't want that. We want selections, and we don't want that. We want selections. So now let's go back up here at the top at 67. At number 67, now we have to now we got to fill out a roster. Okay, so my picks so far have been Marvin Harrison, which I think fixes the offense in many different ways. Olu Fashanu, which fixes the offense in many different ways. Zach Frazier, which fixes the offense in many different ways. And then we got Cameron Kitchens, which is the substitute for Eddie Jackson. I don't know that he's as good as Eddie Jackson. He's a rookie. He's coming in. He's obviously not going to have the same depth and the same ability, but we have a starter. We have a body on the field, and we can hope that this guy is trainable and coachable, and he is a top level talent. So there's no reason to think that he's not going to be a good player. So now we need to reach maybe for an edge rusher or something like that. So see if we got anything on defense that stands out. We've got Leonard Taylor, Michael Hall, defensive tackles, by the way. Chris Jennings, McKinley Jackson, Cedric Gray, Jeremiah Trotter, Kalen Carson, DJ James. We have no edge rushers that are coming up on this radar until we get to Austin Booker down here at Kansas. I'm not really impressed with that. And Jonah Ellis. So maybe it's time to go back over here to the offense. And now we got a decision to make here. What about because we're going to lose, by the way. If we just consider, if we just consider a little bit here, that we're going to have Andrew Billings, we're going to have Gervon Dexter for sure. Now, and the idea here is that even if you re-sign Justin Jones, you're going to have Andrew Billingsley, Gervon Dexter, and Zach Pickens. We probably still need one more guy. So if we took Leonard Taylor, we've shored up our defensive tackles for good at this point. Now, we're in the position right here where we've got an opportunity now we've moved down just a little bit. I'm going to reach. This is going to be where I reach. What I need is an opportunity to catch a few passes and give because we're going to lose for sure. We're definitely going to lose Darnell Mooney because it's $13 million. We're not paying Darnell Mooney, I don't think, $13 million. So I'm going to reach for Xavier Legette at South Carolina. We're going to pick him up. And now that's going to leave us with, let's see, we are now at the number 111 pick. And what I would like to do at this point is kind of still fill some positions out. Assuming, of course, in this situation, we have we lose Deonta Foreman. That means that we need a running back. So I'm going to go back to, and I go to the well a lot with this one, but Jalen Wright, he is one of my linchpin guys that I seem to keep falling into in this draft. And this is a horrible trade. So we're going to reject that outright. But now let's go back to my picks here. We've got Marvin Harrison Jr., we've got Olu Fashanu, we've got Cameron Kitchens, Zach Frazier, Leonard Taylor. We've got players who are going to have some serious playing time. We've got Xavier Legette and we've got Jalen Wright. And now what else are we looking at that's going to be weak? Well, we've got the wide receiver room, which is still going to be needing a little bit of space. We also have the safety room, which probably needs it, but we also have we need meat, if you will. So let's go look at the offensive line here because we got to replace Cody Whitehair. So we've got Tanner Bartolini, and then we've got Sitawu Lameu, and then we've got Christian Mahogany from Boston College, Layden Robinson. Let's go. Let's take. We're going to reach down in the draft a little bit at this point. I want Christian Mahogany out of Boston College because now we've got a big body, and we've needed a big body. And now we've got another selection at 143, and we're going to take one more because we need rotation. We need heavy rotation, right? And I want to get rid of Larry Borum, so we're going to pull in another offensive tackle. And that offensive tackle was Sitawu Lameu. So now that puts us in. I think we're pretty much done. I think we've 1, 3, 6, 9. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we got 9 picks out of this draft. Is how this really kind of played out. So we got Marvin Harrison Jr., we've got Olu Fashanu, we've got Cameron Kitchens, we got Zach Frazier, and look, we have a starter, a most probable starter. We have another most probable starter. Now, this does, of course, mean that it's not going to be as strong coming out of the gate, but there's tremendous upside. Zach Frazier, center out of West Virginia. So we've got the second best center in the draft. We've got the best offensive tackle, not named Joe Alt, in the draft, so the second best as well. We've got the generational talent in Marvin Harrison, and we've got a starter at safety. We've got Leonard Taylor, who's going to serve as a serviceable backup, take up a lot of space at defensive tackle. We've got Xavier Legette, who could be one of those slot burners, because now we've got DJ Moore, and we've got DJ Moore, and we've got Marvin Harrison as our bookends, and then we need a slot receiver. Equinemius St. Brown, by the way, probably $1 million contract, able to bring him back in. So we still need some bodies in the room. Tyler Scott also under a rookie contract. So Xavier Legette comes in, runs PT with those two guys, and maybe we'll see some development. And if not, then right now it's just going to be a body that fills the space. We've already created a better team, I think, at least in my opinion, offensively at this point. Now, it should be noted here that we are sticking with Justin Fields in this draft. But then you pick up Jalen Wright, and look, there's a thing that Clay Harbor said today, which I actually found to be fascinating, and is really kind of an example of how disrespectful people are about this. Is crazy, by the way. Once you see that, you'll be like, "Oh my god! Like, what is wrong with this?" But they said, here we go. Nope, John Grenard. By the way, that's a Louisville guy. Oh, here we go. Khalil Herbert was the 14th highest graded running back this season, according to Pro Football Focus. He tied for 9th at 4.6 yards per carry, and 3 of that came after initial contact. Should the Bears look to upgrade? What? You got a guy who's averaging 4.6 yards per carry, and for some reason he's only graded as the 14th highest. There's a lot of vanity that goes into this. So I disagree with this fundamentally. And Clay Harbor, by the way, is not saying that he agrees with it either. But Khalil Herbert, I think, fought and ran very, very hard this year. And there is no and I'm seeing this kind of shit right here. Saquon Barkley as an upgrade? No, absolutely not. Saquon Barkley is on the downside at this point. He's constantly injured. And look, Khalil Herbert is, in my opinion, is going to run harder, and he's going to put more into it. So I'm definitely a fan of that move. So there we go. I think Khalil Herbert, we stick with him, and Roschon Johnson and Travis Homer moves up. And then now we have in this draft, we've got Jalen Wright in the back burner. Maybe he's going to fight Travis Homer or Roschon Johnson. 4-time. We don't know what we've got here. Now we've got an offensive guard in Christian Mahogany who can help back up. Cody Whitehair's going to be he's going to be gone. So we've got a backup to Tevin Jenkins and Nate Davis. And then we've got Satawu Lameu, who is a serviceable backup, replacing Larry Borum, hopefully, as the backup in this context. And Jesus Christ, my mouse is now dying. This is just, I'm in hell today, guys. And not a whole lot of whatchamacallit today. Anyway, guys, that's my time for the day. I appreciate each and every one of you stopping in, coming in, and checking this out. And by the way, if you haven't watched it, I suggest that you go watch the interview with Justin Fields. Says a lot of interesting things. I don't know if he's going to be here next year or not. I sure would like to, because I think he's a great guy, and I think that he was underserved. And you know, the person in me that wants to see somebody have success. I feel like a great guy like him should have some success, and I would like to see it with Chicago. I don't know if that's going to happen. What I do know is that I entrust Ryan Poles with what the next step is. So I hope you do too, because I think Ryan Poles, other than that Chase Claypool fiasco, has done a fantastic job of this team. So with that, we will talk to you again very, very soon. Until then, bear down. Everybody's getting sideways.